So that is a good house. Well, they can come on. That's how come on. Again, this is the drain that takes it to
But I'm just saying, it caught everybody off guard. I mean, so, and here's the thing. And that was literally like, the third week of that job.
Welcome to our regular town board meeting. All right, with pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we pray you grant wisdom to all foreign authorities that order and justice may be upheld for the benefit of all citizens, and guide us to better serve the people of our community. Restrain those who seek to destroy our government. We ask for divine wisdom to rest upon our leaders to guide them and protect them. Amen.
Before we go to public input, I know there's going to be some, you're going to set 3 minutes for anybody who would like to speak. And at the end of 3 minutes, I'm going to ask you to sit down. If you decide you're going to catcall under the audience, or lose your temper, we'll have you escorted out of the meeting. We want to give everybody a chance to talk, to try and be as civil as possible. I see some people shaking their heads already, let's see that.
Right.
But, you know, I just want to go back, and Kathy's going to read a letter that I sent out, maybe you'll pick it up, related to the past storm event that we had. And, you know, in fact, Kathy, if anybody wants to read the letter, they December, if anybody remembers, we got rain, and the ground was totally saturated. In fact, many people said, you know what, I'm glad it's not snow. Well, we might have been better off with snow. So then with the ground being totally saturated, then we received 14 to 16 inches of snow, depending on where you live. And then after that, we had a freeze for about 2 weeks, which froze the top of the ground. And then if you remember the 26th, we got about 1 3/4 inches of rain, which also melted the snow. So we have a letter, if you see it from our Niagara County Sewer District, that we had actually an equivalent of 2 inches of melt with that snow on top of the 2 inches of rain and the runoff on frozen ground. So everything went to creeks and streams everywhere, including most of the neighborhoods. But I want to point out also that with that runoff, we had areas, we had a meeting, I'll talk about that in just a second, but we had flooding all over western New York, and if anybody's paid attention at all, it's not just Wheatfield. It was Erie County, Niagara County, every town had people flooded out. And it was a storm event, and I remember when it happened, I thought to myself, well, what was so bad? And of course, we met with the engineers. And just to point out, Niagara County Sewer, our plant over here on Liberty Drive, which services anybody here, was less than an inch from total failure, and the sewage would have started backing up. Tom Blotches has been the administrator there for over 20 years, and he said he's never seen anything like it in his life before. So it was a storm event. It wasn't just drainage, as some of the people are going to say it's drainage. It wasn't drainage. It was a storm event. We got a combination of heavy rain in a very short period of time, snow melt, frozen ground, complete runoff. If you look, Cambria had flooded. Everybody in Niagara County. Just to let you know that our town, if you remember the last time we had flooding, the town went ahead and we, on a regular basis, got into the creeks and streams and removed trees and debris to keep the streams open. But you can see that there is a weather pattern change, not just here, not just western New York, but the entire country. So last week, we brought county, state, government officials here to the town hall for a private meeting to see what we can do to make improvements to handle the weather changes. And one of the issues that we have, and if you take a look at Sawyer Creek and some of the major creeks in the town of Wheatfield, they're not under control of the town of Wheatfield. They're regulated by New York State, they may be regulated by the county, so it makes it very difficult. But one of the things that we hope to get out of this is to form a regional approach. Instead of the town of Wheatfield saying, oh, look, we've got a problem. Town of Lewiston had flooding. Everybody had flooding, basements in water and everything else. It was all over. So this meeting last week, and I think Bob was here. Yeah, we had a good meeting, and we had people representing from all over the state, people from DOT, and our board's office was here, and our Ellis office was here, and we're going to try and set up a meeting with the Army Corps, DEC, and everyone else involved with giving us permits to go ahead and clean or dredge some of these major creeks. I mean, I know some of the folks here from up in Eagle Chase, and you had some severe flooding. But I want to say this, that if you looked at what happened when that water came down from Eagle Chase, Sawyer Creek had water issues for several days. And so what we're looking, the problem is the permit process to get some of these major creeks and streams clean is very difficult, because it's not just something that we can go in and do. It's something that we have to get permits, and it can take months to do. So hopefully, in the next few weeks, when we hear back from Rob Orr's office and Angela Morello's office, they will set up a meeting with us to look at what we can do to make things better. In fact, I have a meeting sometime this week. I was hoping tomorrow with the highway superintendent from Cambria to discuss possibly collecting water which is coming out of Cambria, crossing Bear Road into your subdivision, to see if we can divert some of that water and take it right out to Lockmore Road. Until I meet with them and take a trip back there, I can't tell you, I can't promise anything. The other thing I can say is that the town has been aggressive in cleaning and removing the trees from the creeks and streams, but obviously with the weather patterns, it's just not enough, and we realize that. And I can tell you after the meeting we had last week, we're going to do our best try and make whatever changes necessary to make things better. It could be a slow process, believe me, because if anybody's been around government, getting permits to clean and dredge some of these creeks because of special plant life, special wildlife, it's very difficult. In fact, I don't want to age myself, I was here the last time we cleaned Sawyer Creek, and actually went down Sawyer Creek with a dredge to pump the water and pump some of the sludge out of the creeks. And it's something we're going to look at to see what we can do, especially with the changing weather patterns. And I don't think anybody here can say that we're not having a change in weather pattern. It's not just western New York, the whole country. We see it in California, we see people's houses sliding down hills. And for now, I mean, the people, and I can't say to you, look, we're going to fix your problem overnight because I don't know what it is. It's what we can do. But we'll do the best that we can. The other thing we're going to do tonight, we have a moratorium on new development of Wheatfield, any new subdivisions. The purpose of that, it may not help you, but what it will do is give Wheatfield a chance to reevaluate new homes, because, you know, there's certain criteria that subdivisions have to meet. And I know you want to hear 100-year storm, 500-year storm, but it's a fact. We've had a couple 100-year storms, and basically, if you remember the one in the summer a couple of years ago, the rainfall was equivalent of 750-year storm. So what we're looking, instead of designing our subdivision, say, for a 100-year storm, possibly design the retention and detention for a 700-year storm, or a 500-year storm. We talked to our engineers about looking at what we can do to not make it more difficult to develop, to make sure that when it is developed, it doesn't create issues downstream or upstream. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. And again, can I say to you tonight, you're not going to flood out this spring? I can't tell you that until we find out what we can do. We had hoped that by cleaning the streams and removing the ash trees and maintaining what we've been doing, it would make a difference. Obviously, when the weather pattern changes, it didn't make a difference. And again, if you look at Lancaster, what they went through, they've also done a moratorium. Town of Evans, if anybody paying attention to them, where the snow was so heavy it was breaking the eaves off their homes when it started to melt. And once again, Lockport had basements in water, Lewiston had flooding. So I think the regional approach is going to make a difference, because with all the towns together, with the county, DOT was here at the meeting, that hopefully we'll be able to accomplish that. Because it was very difficult for just one community trying to get something done. And we're looking at forming a regional committee, a drainage and a committee. If anybody that would be involved, would like to be involved, please give me your name, and we'll look at doing what we can to have you involved with the committee to see what we can do go forward regional. So that's my spiel for now, and now we're going to public input. But that's what we've done, and we have been doing, and we're looking at hopefully making some changes. And again, I can't promise it'll be in the near future, but we're hoping that with groundworks and Edgemore now, that they can expedite the permit process to dredge and clean some of the major creeks that we have no control over. Okay, I'll look into it. I've done my thing. Anybody would like to speak? Come on up to the microphone, please.
I think we have a sign-in sheet somewhere.
You can be able to come up, just tell us your name and where you live.
Yeah, give me the sign-in sheet.
Okay. Do you have a sign-in sheet? I was.
Yeah, there, he's gonna get it. Thank you.
Okay. My name is John Brusso. I live at 3313 Colling Terrace. I'm affiliated with the Wheatfield Smart Growth Coalition. And for the record, I would like to get it on the record to be able to thank you, because I've only lived here in this county for 2.5 years now, but I made a phone call to the highway department the day of the flood. And I also reached out for the supervisor's office. By Monday, I got a call back. And basically what you just explained, you explained to me, and I appreciate that, because the fact is I was in government, county government in Erie County for a couple of years, and the silos that are up there, and in the farming community, I guess that's a little, appropriate, but the silos between the county and the towns and everything is going to be, that's an issue, to break those down, and to have them all in the same room and take little ownership of these issues, that's a really good start. Now you just gotta hold them accountable. I mean, your folks here, or, you know, you said you have people that are upset, you're gonna have some people that are upset, there's absolutely no doubt. But the fact that you took it and you did it that quickly, that's impressive in my eyes, okay? The next thing I wanted to tell you is, look, I'm inconvenienced by that water. It's happened about 3 or 4 times in my subdivision. But there were instances in that subdivision, and one of the neighbors had a medical procedure that day and needed to get out. Had Shawnee come in and take her to higher ground so her daughter could meet her to get that medical procedure done. And it was an important one. So that's what I call an instance. You'll hear from somebody tonight who was part of, that has had flooding in her basement, her and her husband's basement. That's a problem. So there's inconveniences, there's instances, there's problems, but if you take all of those things and you multiply them by all the people in Wheatfield that had an issue, some sort of issue, and what we talked about with the sewer, that's catastrophe. If we get the catastrophe level, guess what? It's too late to fix it, and it's way too expensive. And that's about the planning and the infrastructure, and when you make your decisions moving forward, it's about the infrastructure, and can it handle the growth? You know, can your water pressure handle it? Can your sewers handle it? Your storm and your sanitary sewers, can they handle it? I urge you folks, when you make your decisions and you make your phone calls and you attack this problem, to attack it with those things in mind. And then, you know, I'm just saying, I would like to thank you for doing it, but please don't stop, because, like I said, the next lady you'll hear from, she's got photos, and it's just, if there's anything, you know, my inconvenience, I get over it. You know, I couldn't go babysit my grandson that day. That was my big thing. But I have not spent thousands and thousands of dollars because I have water in my basement. So, I thank you very much. Thank you.
So, I just want to comment on one thing that you mentioned about the capacity of our sewer and water facilities. We're not even operational to 2/3. We have plenty of capacity. So that storm, and again, you saw the pictures, I believe you did, was less than an inch from total catastrophe of our sewer plant. So what it tells me is the weather change, one, not just here, I mean, look at Friday, it's almost a record high, 61 degrees. You ever heard of that February before? I don't think so. So I think that's something we now have to recognize, because our sewer plant and our water plant has more than enough capacity to have development throughout the whole town. It's just that to see that kind of failure, and of course you saw Tom Blanchard there last week. I mean, he was in a severe panic because we almost lost our sewer plant, which could have been the backing up of raw sewage in the homes. So we do have the capacity. It's just that particular storm, and it's funny when it happened. I remember thinking to myself, well, how bad can it be? Well, it was the perfect storm. It was the snow melt, the rain, the hard soil that created that problem. The infrastructure is there. Just what do we do now to handle this weather changes? So that's kind of where we are.
Well, with that I would say, and I will say that I am retired, so I've been driving around and I've been looking at creeks that I didn't even know existed when I moved up here. I have seen your folks, your highway department out snatching trees and doing, you know, and it was basically, it's not just today, it was, you know, right after the event. I have to be honest with you, and I understand that Lockport Road is a county road. I haven't seen any county trucks, any county people out, and I'm not here to throw stones at them. I don't know, they may be doing it in another area that I'm not, you know, that I wasn't in. But again, you had them all in the room. You had them right in the palm of your hand. You did a great job. Please, hold them accountable to, because a county road has to be done by the county department.
The sad part is, their highway superintendent and their deputy highway superintendent did not show.
Okay, well, that tells you that we gotta go somewhere. You know, get a little pressure.
It's all the pressure from the upper echelon of government, and we will meet with the Army Corps and BDC, try and get something moving. You know, a lot of our major creeks, if anybody looked at Sawyer Creek, that's the highest it's been that I can remember. If anybody had the opportunity to have a canal, the canal was over the top of the boat docks. I've never seen that in my life before. And just to point out, I mean, I think most of the people know that I was building inspector here for almost 39 years. And all the years I've seen flooding in Wheatfield, but it usually was regional. Maybe a portion of Wheatfield would flood. And we might get a storm or a flood once every 10 years, and everybody says, oh, bad weather, keep on going. But now we've had 3 major events in the last 4 years. So it's telling me there is a weather change. So we've got to do something to try and stay ahead of the game, and that's what we're trying to do.
I agree. Thank you.
My name is Mary Poole. Good evening. I'm Mary Poole. My husband Bruce and I live at 3329 Lockport Road. We've been residents since May of 2009. Our home is directly on the corner of Eagle Chase and Lockport Road. I'm here again, second time since 2021, to talk about the flooding that affects Eagle Chase Drive, the residents of the development, and more importantly, my home. This is a far too common occurrence, and we desperately need some help to relieve us from more damage and anxiety. I'm aware of the countywide flooding of the late 100, 500-year catastrophic events that are seemingly impossible to prepare for. What I need to express is that Eagle Chase has been experiencing these problems since before 2009 when I moved in. But since we have built there, we have had many street flooding, but at least 5 severe floodings that affected my home directly. I appreciate the frustration that my Eagle Chase neighbors experience when they can't leave their home, when their children can't go to school, when elderly neighbors worry about they can't get out of the house for emergencies if needed. I feel that. But our frustration is compounded by 2+ feet of water in my basement every time it floods. Every time. The last flood gave us 25 inches of water in our basement. Our home has been pumped out 4 times by the Shawnee Volunteer Fire Company. We have bought a generator, a larger sump pump, a water backup, and yes, we have bought 4 furnaces in a 15-year-old home. Our latest furnace is suspended from the ceiling so that it doesn't retain water damage. We have filed insurance claims totaling over $50,000 for the last 4 floods. This one, 2 weeks ago, we chose not to file a claim because we don't have flood insurance in that area and we are afraid of losing our homeowner's insurance. I don't know much about drainage, but what I do know is that current drainage cannot handle the amount of water that keeps coming into this development and the empty lot across the street from my home. Why? The area has been a hot spot for the last 14+ years. Everyone I speak with says we can handle water from our own development, but not from the surrounding fields that flow into our ditches and drains. My husband says we live on the north side of Lockport Road. Our ditches are always full. The opposite south side has very little water. The retaining pond fills to the max and drains out where the water is supposed to flow under Lockport Road are full, and the ditch under Lockport Road is full of overgrowth and broken trees. Now, I did hear you say real quickly that you have had people go out and clean those ditches. When I came here in 2021, I was told directly, and people behind me can verify what was said, there wasn't enough money or manpower to clean the drains. There has not been anyone there since before 2021. Really quick, I could go on, but I think you see where I'm going with this. Please, we need help. I have provided you with some pictures from my basement and from the land around it. I hope you can appreciate them. We need to make this problem go away, or at the very least, be manageable, so that we can enjoy our beautiful homes and communities. Thank you.
Thank you, and I just want you to know that we just know that the other side of Lockport Road, the flow is minimal on the other side. So one of the things we're looking at, hopefully with the cooperation of the county, is possibly running another pipe through Lockport Road. And again, I'm going to meet with the highway superintendent in Cambria to see if we can get a ditch to run instead of letting it flow across Bear Road into the subdivision, possibly right up to Lockport. So, we're trying to be as aggressive as possible, but again, trying to get all the government agencies together, it might be a little bit difficult, but we're going to do our best.
I just don't know what it's gonna take, because when we have this conversation, when it comes, that's what we hear, and then it gets worse.
Well, you know,
So,
and you're right, and you know, the last time we had a storm, which was a couple of years ago, the summer storm we had, and we had hoped with the highway departments, the housing departments, the ditches clean, removing dead end trees, this would take care of the problem. Obviously, with the weather change, it's not. So now we're going forward and trying to be more aggressive, to do what we can do, to open up streams and creeks, to try to get the federal government and the state government involved to expedite the process.
okay, the pictures that I gave you, the first three are from 2024. They're my basement, and they're my street where the lowest part of the street is. The three next pictures are from 2021, okay? The summer storm, that we had flooding in that low area on Eagle Chase, that we, the neighbors, the residents, went and had to pull the drain plug to get the water to flow into the creek, because that was the quickest way, hopefully, to resolve the problem. We had one on the 14th, and then I think, the 17th, and then on the 20th was when we got the massive one, which the pictures you are seeing here, there. That one, I had almost 28 inches of water. It went up under my insulation, okay? The last set of pictures you're gonna see is from me going out today and taking pictures of what I think are critical areas that need to be addressed. Like I said, we have a pond. The ditch that runs from the pond to under Lockport Road is overgrown, complete overgrowth. I don't know whose responsibility it is, but someone needs to clean it. Underneath that, and it crosses over onto the south side of Lockport Road, that is filled with trees that are toppled over, there's garbage in there, there's all kinds of stuff. That has to be cleaned. I think maybe 2019, I know it was pre-COVID, there was a big ditch digger, and it went there and it cleaned up the whole thing after we had a flood in 17. So I know it can be done, but the frustrating part is it's always reactive. It's never proactive. So we need to be proactive to address this problem. And especially, I don't think this is news to you that Eagle Chase has had this problem since before 2007. I just happen to be the one now that has spent all this money to try to make my basement not have any more than, I take a foot of water at this point. I can't get less than 2.5 feet of water in there. And it's all, if you look at those pictures, it's all dirt. It's coming from somewhere that it shouldn't come into my basement. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Marcia Forsey. My husband and I had resided on Cy Road for almost 52 years. The weekend of January 26th this year was devastating for many residents of our town. Excessive flooding caused damage and destruction like never before to many areas, including Eagle Chase, Thornwood, Cy Road, and many others. On Friday, Eric Road school faculty had to move their cars to Fairmont Park. Soon after that, all 500 students and faculty members were transported to the high school because of the rising waters. How frightening for those students. What can successfully, and I know Ms. McSwan, you've answered a lot of those questions, but I've written this already. What can successfully be done to help the homeowners and the taxpayers? Studies and surveys seem to drag on and just spin wheels. Do the many new subdivisions, this is what you addressed, and new homes cause this problem? Maybe the clogs Sawyer Creek, and I have pictures here I'd like you to have. I took them today right along from Cy Road, about a half a mile this way. Sawyer Creek seems to be very, very clogged. What can be done? Please help the patient taxpayers of Wheatfield. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Sean Acker. I live on Eagle Chase. I've been there roughly 7 years now, and moved there with the knowledge and know-how that we had flooded in the past. Speaking to people before I purchased a home there, they indicated that the issues were taken care of, and I went ahead and looked at some of the engineering fixes with lowering the, sorry. All right, so I had looked at some of the engineering studies and drainage studies from Wendell and looked at some of the fixes that were done, which we do appreciate lowering the level of the overflow on the retainment pond, but I'll say that I can appreciate the magnitude of that storm. It's a storm, it's a weather event just like you stated. However, in this area, it's always been a constant, right? Just to piggyback off what they said, looking at some of the aerial photos I had submitted to your email address to Godfrey, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if you had a chance to review that, but it's apparent, right? So obviously, all that water comes in off of Bear Road, which, again, I appreciate the thoughts on transitioning some of that water flow elsewhere. Looking at the farmlands, I think the major issue, in my opinion, is, and I'm not an engineer by any means, but I do work with engineers and civil engineers on a daily basis, but speaking with them, looking at photos, a lot of that farmland goes into a 12-foot wide culvert, which then transitions into a 36-inch pipe for roughly 100 feet, and then opens up into a 12-foot culvert again. But that then there it goes to a 14-inch drain. So you need to find like a choking point, right? Throttle it down, maybe back up some of the water into the farmlands temporarily, and I explained that in my email as well. And realistically, you know, the addition of another pipe going across Lockport Road would be fantastic. Just learned of that information, so we appreciate that as well. And I just wanted to kind of, there are proposals out there are options out there are engineering controls out there. Money seemed to be the issue. It would be questions I had previously, and I hope that's just not the case moving forward.
You know, as far as the money goes, but as far as the town maintaining their ditches and creeks, that's not the cost. That's something we can do. And we're actually looking at purchasing some equipment to make it better for the highway department to go back and get to some of these creeks. Where the real expense comes in is like on some of your Sawyer creeks, where it's a protected waterway controlled by the federal government. And the permit process can be months. So we're hoping with the meeting last week, and again, we had a room filled of officials from all over the state, including the Department of Transportation, that we can expedite some of this, hope for some money, some federal money, to take care of some of these problems. If you look at Sawyer Creek today, when it was dredged years ago, it was deeper, so the bottom line is, they're raising the bottom of that creek up just from sill to road, and of course that spreads out the flood area. So we're hoping that we'll have a meeting in the next few weeks, and I'm hoping that we don't have another event in the near future, but we could. But at least we're being aggressive trying to address this. We've got the county legislature also involved. So hopefully with doing the regional approach, and if you'd like to be involved and to volunteer, we're welcome to have you. And attend some of the meetings with us. It would be a step in the right direction.
Okay, we appreciate your time.
Anyone else? Your name, sir?
2492.
What's the name again, please?
Excuse me?
Your name again?
Bill Cyrus.
Cyrus?
I've lived here my whole life. In the last 10 years, it's the worst I've ever seen. I mean, my whole life. in this creek here, from, Nash Road south. They fixed the creek and standardized all the culverts going into people's businesses and homes. And, I don't understand the problem with acquiring these permits. This sort of should have done years ago. You drive by there every day, you should be able to see what's going on in the creek. Be able to listen to all, the water can't flow until it gets above it. This way, going toward north on the boulevard, from Nash Road this way. Seems to me if you put a collar in, take care what size it is, it's good enough. So you're going bottlenecking everything back and forth, it's not gonna work. If it can be clean, or the town expense, or whoever's gonna do this, those need to be standardized. I did this for my whole life. We need to have a hydraulic analysis done on this creek. The tube going under the boulevard, side road, not the right size, I guarantee it. And as far as you tell me about the sewer plant having an issue, I can see that, because storm sewer is right next to the flood, the sanitary sewer. And the lift holes on the sanitary sewer, it looks like cyclones going down. So all that flood water, which is supposed to be in that sanitary sewer, is going there. And I had water.
Interrupt for 1 second.
Sure.
One of the things we're looking at, and we do with the sewer district, and we've noticed in some of the newer sections of the boulevard where the state has come through, there's sealed units, and it looks like a candy cane coming out of the top. Those are vents above the base level.
Right.
So that's probably something we'll have to do, because you're right, we have many sanitary manhole covers underwater, which has never happened before.
Yeah, and like I said, my building, I didn't want it in my house, but my neighbor across the street, she lost the rugs, her new floor, everything's gone. I mean, this is ridiculous. And let me tell you what, people, we have an engineering department, we have lawyers here, those permits should have been acquired 10 years ago, prior to that. There's trees in that creek, there's all kinds of debris, garbage, cattails. It's ridiculous to even tell me.
Sawyer Creek?
Yes. And, you know, and I lived on the corner of Cuba and Luther, when I was a kid for years, and I tracked those creeks and did most everything. So I do know a little bit about it, and like I said, it seems like the last 10 years are worse. Suppose we had 3 or 4 day rain then, what are we gonna do then? Yeah, that's good.
You have to remember, and again, you know, I was building inspector for 30-some years.
Yes.
We didn't have storm events like we've had now in the last 4 years. We might get one storm, or I had some pictures here, we had a major storm in the 60s, we had a major storm in the 70s, and so it wasn't like we're getting now storm events every couple of years. So everybody felt, including the federal government, the state, trying to maintain what we have because of cost, and obviously it's not enough. We realize.
That's for sure. Need maybe start a lawsuit against the state or somebody who needs to be sued.
So we're trying to, again.
Something has to happen.
The meeting was closed to.
I can't afford to replace stuff in my building. I have expensive stuff in there, I can't lose it. And, people can't afford to take you. Look at this lady about how many thousands of dollars she can't even turn into her insurance company anymore. That's pathetic. Like I said, I've lived here my whole life, and I've seen stuff like this happen within the last 10 years, and it seems to be the worst. I have a ditch in back of my house was clean in 1985. And that's the last time town did anything good. I keep it clean as I can. But, that's all I can tell you. We need to get something done.
We're working on it, right?
Okay, when are we gonna get any answers on this?
I'm sorry?
How soon do you think we might get some answers?
Well, you know, I'm pleased to hear from Ron Ward's office and Juan Mello's office related to a meeting sometime in the next couple of weeks.
All right,
You're welcome to call anytime.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. We're going to go on with the meeting. Name, sir?
My name is Jeff Glenn. I live at 3900 Sales. I was sitting on the board here early in fall.
One more time, what was the name of it?
Glenn, Glenn.
Did you sign in?
Yes, I did. They had 2 sheets out there.
I'm sorry, what?
They had 2 sheets out there.
Yeah, there's 4 sheets, so.
They only had 2 sheets out there.
Oh, you're on Sarah.
Yeah. I was here early in the fall about the solar farm. You folks told me to go see the planning board, all right? So I went to see the planning board last week, and I see the zoning board for a felony week. They didn't answer any questions, they basically said, come back to you guys, all right? So it's basically passing the buck, all right? Now you're doing a solar farm on, well, it's proposed on Shawnee, all right? You have one on Mapleton, all right? I was told by the planning board, this one on Shawnee is grandfathered in. I'd like to know why it's grandfathered in after the code was changed.
Well, I guess I can't answer that because I'm not aware of the change. But if they receive preliminary approval before the law change, there's nothing we can do to change it.
But wasn't it a code before, you had Mapleton first, all right, by the board, all right? Then the company came in and asked for it to be grandfathered in.
Again, I'm not gonna give you an answer that I'm not sure.
Don, perhaps me and Tim can answer. It's my recollection that this is the Mapleton and Town Line Road project. Same developer, they came in, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, about the same time. They sent in their application. That was prior to the law change. And the way the law is, and the fact that they had already submitted plans, done engineering, we had entertained them, they had been to several meetings, anything that was begun to that point prior to the law change was grandfathered in. So the law change occurred while they were already in the process of going to our planning board.
On both solar, on the one in Mapleton and the one in Shawnee.
I believe so, right, Tim?
One company submitted it?
I believe it's one company submitted at the same time.
Okay. All right, so, and they told me to see the lawyer, all right, about tax breaks. All right, this is the planning board's telling me to go here, and here. They wouldn't answer any questions, they just kept on bouncing things around. All right, since you're up here, is this solar company getting any tax breaks from the town, from the state?
Well, first off, there's no town tax. We don't have a town tax, so there's no breaks for us to give them.
Okay.
The New York State, in their infinite wisdom, and the current governor and the previous governor saying by 2035 the state's going to be whatever 75% renewable energy. The state is gung-ho on turning everything solar, wind. So they give us directives and they prepare the law. The law's come from Albany, and I think of the real property tax law, section 487, indicates that changes the law that these type of solar companies are mandated to get breaks. We don't have a town tax, so they're not getting a break from us, but they're mandated to either get a tax break or the municipality can enter into a pilot agreement to get payments in lieu of taxes. Typically, those payments are less than the original taxes. The town has, on those two projects, despite the fact that we would not necessarily get any property tax revenue due to the fact there's no town tax, I've negotiated with them post-community agreements that we will receive some revenue to the town, more so. So I guess to answer your question, I know it's a long answer, but frankly, the town is going to get more revenue from this than we otherwise would if there wasn't a tax break state law.
Okay. Now, one more question. Why are we putting solar farms in development areas? Our houses. I mean, you have the acre there, where you have hundreds of acres anywhere else. But you're putting in homes where they're worth anywhere between $400,000 and up.
Well, that's part of, I think, the law change. And when the law changed, and Tim, you may remember some of the more details, we made restricted, solar was a new thing. We were one of the first municipalities to have a solar law, which we did in 2016, 2017. We were ahead of most municipalities. However, no one knew how it was going to go. No one knew what they were going to look at. As one was developed, I think the one on Longport Road that's currently there, we realized we need to make changes. This is not optimum, and we made changes to that law, which restricts some of the locations, whereas I think the ones in question, the ones you're talking about, Mapleton and Town Line, The new code, they probably, I don't think they want to be situated there, correct? So the new code says no, but unfortunately, depends how you want to look at it, they were grandfathered in because they started the process before the law changed. So, and also, remember, the state is pushing very hard this green plan, and they've made the laws very favorable to these companies, and they're looking to snatch up land. We've tried to reasonably restrict it, and as time goes on, you know, we've restricted it, and like I say, those would not be able to be entertained by our planning board.
But this board can approve it or disapprove it, correct? No. So it's up to the planning board, I have to go back to the planning board again, and they're telling me to come here again for my questions, because they won't answer all the questions, they keep on telling me, go to a lawyer, go to the zoning board, go to the board. I mean, where do I get all these answers from?
Process would be approved as a motion of planning. And you can come here and tell us your feelings and what you like in the planning board, they issue the special use.
And as far as the, that tax issue, they don't know because that's negotiated with the town attorney, so I can understand them sending you a mail.
Who does a study on this? For example, on solar panels, all right? Because there's studies out there, all right, will tell you that your value of profit within a quarter mile decreases. I mean, does anybody do a study? I mean, does the board do a study? Does the planning board do a study? I know the planning board didn't do a study. They said they didn't do a study. Does anybody do a study about what they affect the home values?
No, that's not part of the law to do a study, and in fact, as I say, the state makes it very, favorable and ties our hands, and luckily, and I think they've had this problem in Pendleton, these are called the solar farms. There's also, if they get over a certain size, get larger, it's, called an industrial, it's called industrial solar, the real big ones.
The category that we don't even have in.
Right, and we don't have, thank goodness, we don't have any applications for, but those even restrict, because the state wants so much green energy, those restrict municipalities, local municipalities even more. And those barely, when they get that big, the state says they're going through, they don't have to even listen to local municipalities, so knock on wood, we haven't had any of those. But the state has made these, in the state, we don't have a DEC for the town, we don't have a EPA for the town. We're relying on the state to make these rules, and the state's already made the decision if they want to go green.
Thank you, sir. Approval of the minutes, January 22nd. By the way, before we go into our regular meeting, yes, ma'am.
Rose Lake, also from Plutarch.
Hold on a little bit closer. There you go. Thank you.
Rose Lake,
There you go.
Plutarch Road, also on the subject of the solar farm. I'm very confused now because I was at the zoning, not the zoning, but the planning board meeting last week with my neighbor. And they clearly said that it was the town board that made the final decision. And now you're saying it's the zoning board. I understand about the grandfather and that the application has to be considered, but I was under the assumption that the use permit had not been granted yet for the one that's going behind my house, literally. So I'm very confused on the whole thing.
Well, I think Tim might know better because Tim attends the meeting, but Tim, it hasn't been approved yet, but it's, so it's still going before the planning board, but the planning board ultimately, when they get everything and they're satisfied that, it meets the criteria that our law says, then it's not coming back to our town board, it's gets approved by them.
The only thing that comes to the town board on that one is the minor security. So there is a.
Well, can the solar farm move forward without the subdivision?
They could, but I believe
out, carve out a piece next to it that's a buildable lot.
So it really has nothing to do with the solar process. It's a minor subdivision once for all.
My concern on the whole thing, aside from the way it's going to look, is property values. Everybody's referring to the study, which I think I found online too, that says an average is a decrease of 2.5%. But it seems like that study was done to promote solar farms. My question would be whether you can put any authority to have a local study done with real estate of how it will affect this particular project. I mean, I've got 28 years invested in my home. That was the plan for our, elder years, to sell that and before buying something else. If it drops 50 or 100,000, we're in trouble.
Well, I'm the town attorney, but unfortunately, the way it's zoned, and even it's not an issue of us doing a study. The people are allowed, whether it's farmers or they're allowed to, can't have a governmental taking. We can't prevent them doing things with the property that's legal. So a lot of different things could be done with that zoning. In this case, prior to the change in solar law, solar farms was a big push. There's money there. People are allowed to do that. Just like, I don't know what else is allowed there, but someone could come in and do something, put up a factory, say if it was zoned for that, and that might be detrimental too. Unfortunately, we can't control everything. We have to go by the zoning and state and local laws that exist.
And I understand that, but it needs a special use permit. So it's not already zoned. Or I don't know the exact term. It needs special approval. It's not black and white that yes, we have a right to do that.
Yes, but there are criteria in the law of what factors are for special approval. And I don't believe any of the factors are, and in just about any law, because it's very speculative, that it could somehow diminish, neighboring property values. In zoning, if you're going to give a variance for certain things, that has criteria that help save and affect neighboring properties. This is not a zoning change, it's allowed for zoning, but it's a special use permit. So I think a lot of your comments, and I'm not sure when they're going to have their next public hearing before the planning board, but this should really be brought to them.
But then they sent this to you.
Well, maybe for questions about the tax and two other things, and the subdivision, which would have to be approved by the town board. And frankly, the town boards, sometimes hands are tied. If they meet certain legal criteria, they're entitled to approval. As far as the special use permit being granted, whenever that happens, that's going to be the purview of the planning board. So, I'd be glad to talk to you more. I know the supervisor would. I could sit down and talk to the chairwoman of the planning board and find out when they're going to have a hearing or when you can be heard in front of them. But this board has limited authority, and because of everything that has to happen, different subsidiary boards are granted different authority. In this case, the planning board is the one that decides to give a special use permit. So they have criteria to follow, but I will be here for a while, just like Don, or you can call back to the town attorney. I'll be glad to talk to you. I'll talk to the planning board chairwoman to find out. We have to have a meeting, whatever we need to do to discuss it. I mean, I want you to get your opportunity to be heard in front of the right person.
Right, and, they pointed out this has been going on for 6 months, almost a year. We only got notified in January. And I'm sorry, I don't have a habit, look at your website every couple of days, maybe I will from now on, but that's why we're here now.
But, look me up, or I can give you a card later, or my number is easy to find, and maybe we can talk more in depth.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on with the meeting, do you anybody that meet? Yes, sir?
Briefly,
Back to your council. There you go.
my name's Ray Blake, I live on Smith Road. Getting back to what you folks were saying there a little bit ago about the state of New York, this
So
county.
you're gonna have to pull it back, I can't hear what you're saying.
It's back to what you all folks were talking about there a minute ago about the state of New York, saying we have to have solar fields. Okay, there's a lot of land in Niagara County. Why would you pick a development onto our road to put up that solar field? I mean, there's children, there's $700,000 houses, there's land all over Niagara County. If the state wants to have solar panels, find another location rather than a residential area.
If you're looking for an answer, all I can say is that the town's not involved in that process. You have private individuals, farmers that own property. They get approached by solar companies and they strike a deal if it's allowed in that particular area. But like we said, when we amended our law, we restricted a lot of areas and we've made it tighter to do. In fact, it's a lot tighter than most other towns and places in western New York. Our rules are. But why they chose that spot, we can't say.
In fact, our law related to solar is more strict than most communities.
Also, with all the land in this county, why would it be a residential area?
They comply with the laws, sir. They comply with the laws of the state of New York. We have no control over that because of the special permit process. That's it. So if you have any questions on it, if you want to talk to Matt, go back to the planning board and questions. Thank you. Before we move on, anybody who's here for drainage, if they'd like to be involved, see John. Is that okay, John? See you. To sign up to be part of the drainage process and that we're starting. And I can assure you folks, this is not something we're going to let drop because I don't want to see any more flooding. I know we still have the potential, it's probably going to take some time. But as John knows, we had everybody and anybody here last week to try and move forward to take care of some of the problems. And I think I told you I'm going to meet with the highway superintendent of Cambridge, see if we can do something to redirect water, because a lot of the water, and I don't know if you can realize it, we get water from Cambridge, we get water from Pendleton, we get water from Lewiston, and we get water from Niagara Falls. So we're in the local. So we're going to try to address those things. And if you want to look, I want to grab this, there's kind of the bullet points of the meeting we had here last Thursday night with government officials who can help us out. But thank you. In fact, we'll take a 5-minute break if you want to take those. If you folks want to leave, that's up to you. You're welcome to stay.
I'm interested. Yeah. And you can bring that back one of the next time.
How you doing? How we doing? What's that? We're trying, but we're going in the right
The first picture we saw was like a real area in the basement that was so bad, yeah. So I mean, in fact, I don't understand, but the beach is really great summer, but the letters that I wrote, but I said, listen, the money shot, but that's what, you know, I mean, when I told him I sent the letter to Robert, sure,
I'm in the running for day right now. That's awesome.
I'm sorry. He's interested in helping, signing up with. I got a pen.
But I was out there, I actually told them, and they called that in, real quick. I got two people. They were talking about right there, what they did, when they just wanted to get it estimated, again, it was, I wasn't ready for that. But you're at 6 Yes, I know, I would go down here. Are you interested in being part of it? I'm on the left-hand side. If you want, give it a try. If you don't like it, there's nothing's binding, it's a voluntary. Okay. I don't know what they As soon as I learn, I'll let you know. I just found out I'm going to be part of it. But I'll get on it. I'll meet with them and we'll make it. Okay. And I'll let you know. I'll be back to you with something. They want to get out.
Excuse me, everybody, we're starting the meeting up again.
I'll give you a call. Rich, I'll see you. Okay, Rich. My name is John. John Bruce. Okay. Okay.
Second. February 12th, 2024, voucher number 202400001 to 202400152 to $1,823,325.19.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Just so you guys know, the reason it was so high is the fire company payments were much. I was asking myself. Department heads, Paul Sigmund.
I had my big year-end report to do when we had a big audience and chased them all away. Just a real quick thing, some of the jobs we got done for 2023. Bubble repairs, there was 8. Ditch cleaning and drainage, we did 1.9 miles. Patching, we do town-wide hot patch, May and June. That's 70 centerline miles that we patch on town roads. Resurfaced 19 roads in town last year for 8.5 miles. 9 pipe jobs, 122 receivers, catch basins were rebuilt last year. That's a lot. Can't believe they're falling apart like that. 52 signs were either installed or replaced. We did 360 underground facilities protection locations. We did the slate work for the all-inclusive playground. On top of our plowing and salting that we do all winter, we also do the leaf pickup from October, November, December, and also brush pickup from April to what's supposed to be October, always ends up being in November, because people don't listen, but. There has been letters going out with everybody's water bills. I really hope people take these letters, hang them on the refrigerator, so they can see when we do brush pickup, how we want it done. Same thing with leaf pickup. There's a lot of good information on that handout. I hope people just didn't throw it out. That's all I got.
Well, you're gonna be around for that?
Yeah.
I got my water bill via email. Was it on there, or did I just printed out the bill?
I knew somebody was gonna say that. Actually, it's online too.
But it didn't come with the emailed water bill?
No, it didn't. It's on the town website though, Randy. I knew you were gonna say that.
It was so good. Okay.
That's all I got.
I do. Because I want to make sure I didn't miss it.
I'm gonna hand deliver one to your house tomorrow.
Go right ahead.
Water sewer.
Good evening. I just got the year-end report too for 2023. We had a combined total of 1,145 work orders between the water and sewer department, and a total of 1,738 dig safe tickets, which is the locates from 811. The grand total of answer service calls, which is after hours, was a little bit over 100 calls, which doesn't include the dig safes for emergencies, which is after hours as well. So needless to say, we're busy in 2023 as well. With all the groundwater we just had, we had a little problem over at Whitmer Road Pump Station. So the department has been running the sewer jet and camera system in the sewer main on the north side of the boulevard, right across from Whitmer Road. While doing that, we located a 10-inch pipe under the boulevard leading to our pump station, which had a crack in it. So it was taking on groundwater, which doesn't belong in there, overwhelming the pumps.
Mark, do you think that had any impact on the contestant with the sewer system?
I mean, it did get a little bit of extra flow, but I don't think that much. So
I noticed the manhole covers underwater too.
the manhole covers on the north side of the boulevard are sealed. I just ordered today new O-rings for it, so we'll be at a clean slate, start fresh. We had RIC Plumbing come in and do a patch on that pipe under the boulevard, which is a 4-foot patch on a 10-inch main. That's all sealed and done. Also with the camera, we found a total of 3 4-inch cleanout caps that were missing on the north side of the boulevard. That was taking on all the water from Sawyer Creek and going to our pump station as well. Those are all been repaired by our department. I took pictures, we have documentations, and we're gonna keep track of this from this point forward.
Mark, and I know Matt, is aware of this, and I mentioned it to you. Anybody that's in violation, that is minimum of $500.
That's what I was reading that you sent over the code, yes.
The statute, I believe it says minimum $500, up to $1,000, and every day is a new offense.
That's for the sub-pump illegal connections, which we talked about before. We used to do that, knock on doors, do the compliance inspection. We failed the individual. They would repair it when we got there. But when we turn our backs and leave the house, they're making the connection again.
You know, is there any way that we could track that? We're probably not.
Not really. They don't even really have to let us in.
I mean, when they cut the lights off in the front yard, that's where it's visible.
That's visible.
But other than that,
I found cleanouts with holes drilled in it to take the groundwater away, you know, because they don't know what they're doing to their neighbors or the neighborhood itself. They have no idea.
rules for contesting, I mean, I think you saw the photos.
Yeah, right, on Thursday.
Less than an inch.
Less than an inch, yes. And also, we received the $20,000 from Niagara County Sewer District for infiltration leaks that the town of Wheatfield Water Sewer Department did find. 3 of them were sewer manholes on the corner of the Boulevard and Ward. 1 was on Hoover Road, and 1 was on Nash Road. So this is a reimbursement to the town, which helps eliminate the groundwater in our sewer system. That's the report I have tonight.
Question on the RIC, what is that underground balloon that they put on the inside?
Yes, it's a bladder that they wrap with like fiberglass.
Oh, what's the expectancy on that? Is that still 5 years, or is that longer?
He didn't give me a time frame on it, but I'm sure it's longer than 5 years.
Yeah. For some reason, 5 years sticks in my head.
That's a good question, Randy, I'll ask him about that.
But that's a pretty cool process. But anyway.
It's great, especially under the boulevard,
Yeah.
it's 13 and a half feet deep there, you know, imagine digging that up on a
I
state
didn't
road.
even realize they did that.
Right,
They could do short sections
yes,
as opposed to having to go from there.
that's correct.
Mark, one more question. I know the town doesn't allow grinder pumps anymore in subdivisions, but you didn't, I didn't hear you now, but do you still inspect every grinder pump every summer?
So last year, we did the water side of things, right? So we did all the water valves, the hydrants, line valves. This year coming up, we're going to do every grinder.
Okay, so grinder pumps are like an every other year now?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
We had a lot of, change last year. Usually when we're staffed and people are knowledgeable in the whole department, that we do both sides for a year.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All set? Thank you.
Good, how are you? If you happened to drive by Fairmount Park last week, you would have noticed a group of pine trees sitting on top of the ice over at the pond. What we're designing is artificial reefs. Basically gives ground cover for the minnows, enhance the population of the fish, and like we usually do each spring, place an order through Niagara County and order a bunch of fish to stock the pond with, but the idea is to just kind of enrich the pond, and hopefully we can grow some nice baskets over there. Right, well,
Hey, Mike,
yes.
you know, I got New York outdoors yesterday, and there's a whole article on like pine trees on the ice.
Stop it.
So I-
There was?
Yeah, give it to me.
A shout out to Glenn Lawford, he's the one that approached me with the idea, and I said, let's go for it, see what happens, and if it's a problem, we'll fish them out somehow.
No, that's all right. People like Larry like fish.
We can catch a tree.
He might. I also placed an order through Niagara County, tree and seedlings. That's also a program that they run every year. So we have 75 trees that we just placed an order with. You guys approved tonight at the bill pay. Pickups, second or third week in April, and, at the appropriate time, we'll plant them in the ground. I think we have, about 70 to 75 trees, mostly shade, quick growing. Our new playground's getting a lot of action. A lot of action. Like, every time the sun peeks out, there's a half dozen to a dozen people on there, so you should know that people are using it a lot.
You may have to double fence that so that.
Yeah,
I'm not
well.
taking the grandkids there, but you may, because you got mud.
The mud, yeah,
Yeah, so you may
that's
have to.
right at the front of our list as soon as the spring breaks, is to go back and landscape. That's,
But you start getting it on the plastic,
And then I guess my last thing is mostly, we just started a conversation, but like, we have that eclipse coming up, and I'm just kind of concerned as to what the board would like me to do with the park. Because I talked to some of the other communities, I talked to the county, Lewiston, Town Niagara, everyone's kind of like, we don't really know what we're gonna do. The only thing I did so far is I ordered portable toilets. I got three regular and one handicap. I'm not gonna have water running into the bathrooms. So at least if the gates are closed or open either way, I can have portable toilets there because people are going to the park, they're contacting me from out of state, like, so I know people are coming to this area, talk to Adams Fire Hall, we had a department meeting about it. At first I was like, there's no way all these people are coming to our community, but I'm kind of resigned to the fact that they are.
I mean, I think you're aware of this, but last week, Jonathan put on a meeting with the IDA related to the eclipse. And their suggestion in many of the cases was to close the town parks because people will come in with campers and park them wherever they want.
That's what I'm afraid of.
And as you know, April, the ground is still very soft. And, I don't know if Fairmount Park is a target, but Mike told me that people call and know what they can do to reserve space over there. Something we should think about, maybe we'll talk about it a little bit. With do that or not?
Yeah, there's time.
So, we'll keep you posted.
Okay, cool. That's all I got for you.
No pavilion rentals?
No. No.
You still have this gentleman coming in with the dogs in the spring?
Yeah.
Good.
Hey, Mike Clark. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike, you done? Mike Clark.
No report then.
All right, thanks. Keller, our assessor. How do you feel about it?
I wish I could talk that for sure. No report other than taxes says date March 1st. All exemptions have to be in my office by that date. I don't even know what day that falls on this year, to be totally honest with you. But everything has to be in my office by 4 o'clock when we close on March 1st. It's a Friday. Okay. Okay.
Anything else, Scott? Anybody have anything for Keller? Thank you, Keller. Constables, anything for that?
No report.
Level engineers, no report.
Yes, no agenda.
Oh, beautiful. Now, let's see if we can get Larry to go along with it. Just kidding. Motions, Matt Brooks.
Okay, first motion from the board resolved to approve the request of St. Johnsburg Fire Company for the Knox equipment for their 2 new chief cars. They have added at an estimated total cost of $2,962.
So moved.
Second.
And second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion resolved to approve the purchase of another year of virtual webmaster from Civic Plus at a cost of $5,842.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
And the question, they're going to be doing a little something different this year than they did the last 6 months of this past year. They're actually going to query the town website. I talked to Mike about this, the broken links, content that we maybe have on the website, that if you click on it, it just says you can't display it or nothing found. So they're going to query the website and notify departments of content that may be out there that's basically not searchable. And they're also going to check for compliance issues like ADA compliance. So they'll be checking on that type of stuff too, and as well if there's any issues. And the departments that have people that post content, that person will be available to assist. And we do have training scheduled for this Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So all the department webmasters have been invited to a session here at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. Did they take too long?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Larry. So we do that this time.
You did it first and second.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the assessor and town attorney resolved to approve and authorize the town attorney to sign and execute a consent order in the tax assessment case of VWR Chemicals LLC et al. Versus the town of Wheatfield.
So moved.
Second. And all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Water and Sewer Department, whereas due to the cost increase in Water and Sewer Department for water meters, taps, brass, copper, as well as the cost of increased labor and fuel costs, the Water and Sewer Department seeks to increase certain rates, and whereas certain water fees have not been increased since 2023, since then the material costs have greatly increased. Now therefore be it resolved that the following Water and Sewer Department fees are increased as follows. Those increases are as in the motion package.
Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
And second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And next motion from the town board is the moratorium. Whereas the Wheatfield Town Code contains and specifies the local laws and ordinances of the town of Wheatfield, and whereas the town board and residents of the town have seen increases in flooding and other drainage problems associated with large-scale subdivisions in the town, and whereas the Wheatfield Town Board does not want additional major subdivisions to have the same problems as existing subdivisions and exacerbate the existing problems in the town and would like to review and complete revisions to the town code and other development requirements to address these issues. And whereas the town board needs time to update the town's code and development requirements and does not want other major subdivisions to proceed or to be processed or approved until these revisions have been made and presented, it has been presented a moratorium law. And whereas pursuant to the municipal home rule law, the town board is proposing to enact a local law as follows. Be it enacted by the town board of the town of Wheatfield, New York, that the Wheatfield Town Board amends the Wheatfield Town Code as follows. Amend the Wheatfield Town Code by adding a local law intended, a local law establishing a 6-month moratorium with an option to extend up to another 6 months on applications and approvals of major residential subdivisions in the town of Wheatfield. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Wheatfield board refers this local law to the Niagara County Planning Board and sets a public hearing on this proposed local law at the Wheatfield Town Hall, 2800 Church Road, North Tonawanda, New York, 14120 at 6:45 p.m. on March 4th, 2024.
Motion, please. So moved. Need a second?
Second.
And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and there are no further motions. March 4th, our next scheduled board meeting at 6:45. Yes.
Board members. Bill Brissett. We don't have anything to report. Randy Redcliffe.
I have nothing.
And I have nothing. Okay, you're up.
Thank you. Couple things. Link Technology is processing an order of 14 new computers. I think Ed Mangold put in your 2024 budgets for departments that are getting new computers. They're getting ready to order those now. Part of the process is they're going to keep the monitor. Everybody has a flat screen monitor. The flat screen monitors will last 10 years. So we're going to replace computers like every 5 years. So we won't necessarily send the old monitor flat screen to the recycling and water sewer just because it's 5 years old. So we can save a little bit of money just by replacing the PC. Just to let you know, but we probably in 2 or 3 weeks those computers will be coming in, and I think departments already know who's getting what. And the last item is the Liberty Drive clean. It is like a 33rd year doing this. Cub Scouts actually had organized this one. I hardly had to make any phone calls. They're going to be doing a camp out at Frontier Fire on Liberty Drive the Friday night before the Saturday. And Frontier is going to keep their hall open until they have restroom facilities. The only thing I usually ask our highway department to do every year is there's a bunch of fires out there called, so if you get a rainy day or your day that they can't do much else, cleaning dishes or whatever else they got to do, if they can pick up, there's probably about a dozen fires out there. I don't think any of them have rims left, so. And everything else, the sewer treatment plant usually puts a dumpster out there for us, and we'll have the scouts load that dumpster up with everything they also. And then they're going to be doing this on Earth Day, which I think is April 20th. So the 19th will be camping out, and Earth Day the 20th will be probably 20 or 30 scouts out there picking up all kinds of trash. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Larry, appreciate it. Any further public input? Our next meeting will be March 4th, 2024 at 7 o'clock. And we have a public hearing at 6:45, as Matt just told me. Thank you. And can I have a request for adjournment?
Second, Paul is taking an executive session for a personnel matter.
We'll go to executive session. Need a motion?
Yes.
Motion to an executive session with a highway superintendent.
So moved. Personnel
matter.
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We'll go to executive session.
I hope so. You never know.
This is my wife, Dora. Mr. Bruce, lives in Firehouse function. We were at a, some band or something was playing, and the doctor made me come and buy him a beer. Go figure. Meeting went well. Oh, yeah. Way, you come in with a big chest, fingers, crazy. I'm actually, in my world, you get to read your statement, we listen to your statement, and you're done. And that's, I think that's pretty good that he does it. I mean, because he puts himself back, you know, I know the attorney's right next to him, but people hear what they want to hear, and they take that away. We'll see you guys.
I'll tell you what, the planning board, she is not a very nice person. I feel with her. I went to the planning board just as a secretary. She is exactly what they said. They won't let her talk. They blame it all on the board.
Well, I don't know about the blaming.
No, I mean,
I will just say that,
you gotta come here, they always say that.
when you're basically listening to people, that you give them the 3 minutes to speak. I know I was paid over. You know, I got 30 years at UPS, I know 3 minutes. And I was paid over, and I was the best. So, you know, but I don't remember seeing it. Again, that's a credit.
like?
We don't have access.
We have to query?
I'll make a motion that we come out of executive session. I'll second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are on the executive session. And now do we want to address the motion skip these items?
Gary Zynek.
What's his official?
Gary.
Gary Zynek. Make a motion to increase based on his work responsibilities, blah, 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 additional 1 hour per hour raise.
When's it effective?
Effective next payroll period.
Yeah.
Have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, we're adjourned. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, gentlemen and lady.
And Don?
And Don.
Yeah. Go to Glock your vote.
Finally, he called it back. It's like if you fucking call him.